Okay, cool. So jump into it. So it's just sort of 5 to 12. Just had a bit of sort of Aussie employment data come out, which was absolutely shocking. Let's see if I can call this on up here. Where we at? So refresh this. So it's a negative 65K, which is just a massive, massive drop off on that, and sort of far exceeds the sort of expectations that we had. Where are we here? Here we go. So revised to 72, so that's actually a revision up from last time because I'm pretty sure it was plus 65K last time. So it was an expected cool down anyway, coming down to sort of 15.4 thousand. But as you can see, it wasn't even just a drop there, it was actually sort of annihilation. So the idea being with this that obviously sort of labour market sort of cooling off, that rate increases are sort of having somewhat of their sort of desired effect because if you sort of like sort of extrapolate it out, basically what they want to do is they want to see unemployment raise a little bit, which unemployment rate actually sort of came in flat at 3.9%. But what they want to do sort of step by step is to sort of basically have a slowing of industry, slowing of employment, so there's less money going around. Less money, less people employed means they're spending less. There's less sort of cash to sort of add to the whole sort of inflation sort of fight. And that's why sort of like if you have a look at Aussie, where were we? Its reaction straight off the bat was one of actually just get smashed. It's bounced quite quickly, quite significantly actually. So I'll get to this in a moment because obviously that's something that you got to sort of pay attention to. There's a thing called a high heel top, and if we break out the top of this side over here, this could actually be quite bullish. But as I said, I'll get to Aussie in a sec. So I'll start off DXY. Jumping on to the 1 hour, so just to go through a bit of yesterday's price action. So yesterday we were sort of marking it out here and we were saying, look, it was quite significant, this little reaction that it sort of sold down here and then bought up quite quickly. And we had this little measured move sort of planned out. And as you can see, this came out and pretty much hit it to the cent, or to the tenth of a cent or so before sort of obviously selling down. It did sort of come through sort of through fairly flat through Europe, a bit of a pullback there, and then charged through, obviously again, over sort of through US sort of sessions, and obviously seeing a bit of a sort of cooling off now. So, as I said, we get that little sort of inside look about 15 minutes before 12 o'clock local time here, where we sort of see a little bit of a sort of a bit of price action. So 11:45, this actually comes online, and we're seeing this little drop off early. So this is coming into quite a, as we could see yesterday, quite a strong area of support because this was the launch pad, and also as it sort of came back down here as well, we also had it sort of bounce back up. So any opportunity the buyers have had to get on board here, they've had quite significant pushes to the top side with this as well. So let's see if we can drag something a bit over the side. Drops off a little bit at the top over here and a little bit over here, but generally sort of seeing a bit of a sort of a resistance sort of coming up over here. But anyway, that's sort of last night. But the point that it is sort of coming down here and dropping down early here is something to take note of. But realistically, we want to get it underneath this 327 to see if there's any sort of more idea of a sort of price sort of coming down lower. Because as we see, buyers are here, buyers are here. Are they just going to come back here and go, sweet, you've given me another shot to buy it at this level and then drive it up again? I don't know. I don't think so actually this time. I think this might be the one where we sort of cool down and see a little bit more of a sort of deeper pullback. Of course, you've got some pretty sort of strong support areas just underneath here anyway, and sort of being through this area here, which also comes in line with the top, this yellow line being the sort of the top of that NFP period as well. So certainly a lot of support sort of levels that can sort of come in around here, but certainly at the start here, we're seeing a quite a significant little sort of drop off. So come online in about 2 minutes. That'll obviously be quite a significant gap down if you're looking on the other charts that sort of don't show that little 11:45 period. So it'll be a matter of sort of whether it comes back up the top side of this here. And obviously, if this would be a gap on these ones, takes out the gap and moves to the top side, or we see a continuation to the downside here. But certainly, as this is opening up, we're looking at a fairly quick little sharp drop off here. I mean, relative to everything, it's 0.07% in that. But in terms of sort of DXY intra-week, that's a fairly decent little size candle that you're seeing just for the open here. So we'll sort of see how this sort of continues that. As I said, sort of if you come down below here, this is where you're expecting to see some buys again. 103.12, 103.10 in change. Obviously the wicks sort of shot around a little bit here, but this general sort of period. If we go down underneath here, then I would say realistically we're looking at a bit more of a back test of this big, large breakout area. I am still sort of in the back of my mind, despite sort of being absolutely blown away with Aussie and gold, that this could be just a bit of a squeeze before we do see further downside, because the conversation is still around rate cuts, but obviously sort of like, with all the stuff sort of going on with Yemen at the moment, I think its next CPI is going to be very crucial, because if that comes in hot again due to sort of these most recent things popping off and that, then we could very easily see another push in inflation, which obviously is going to delay any sort of rate talk and rate cuts. So just pull this one out of the way here so we can have a little look at this sort of rising support here as well. And so as I say, this would be a sort of a potential area, because we got one, we got two. It's quite come away from it a fair bit here, but again, sort of third one here. So yeah, we'll see how this sort of like flows through. I'll flip across to Aussie, because this is obviously sort of something that just had the news out, and as you can see, like the market had another chance to buy it down here, and they've just taken it straight up. I mean, Aussie has been absolutely demolished this week. Like, we're looking at, like, it was a little sort of kick up. This is the start of the week here, as you can see, weekly open. A little push up here to begin it, and then it has just been absolutely demolished. So what are we at? That's 2.38% in 2 days. It's quite a significant drop off. So if we sort of drag these out, we can see that it's pushing through a little bit of known resistance of this sort of little falling resistance here. So something to take note of. These sort of bottoms here, particularly if they can sort of continue back up off the top side here, they're called high heel tops. So if you can imagine that kind of like a shoe with the sort of foot here comes up, and there's your little stiletto-y heel bit. That's sort of called basically, as I said, it's got a high heel top, and then it's a potential sort of reversals and that. Because despite incredibly weak news, the market's gone, cool, give us a shot to buy it again. I'll take it up, and they bought it up. Now, Aussie's not really going to sort of fire back up to the top side based on it doing anything good. Basically, you're just going to see some sort of correction of this move coming down the bottom side here. And then we're also going to see, basically, if it does move, we'll see on a continued push down with DXY. So it's more people selling US dollar opposed to sort of, people going, hey, you know what, Aussie's doing okay, let's buy that up. So we'll just have to sort of see how risk sentiment sort of plays out through the rest of the week. But as a short term, there's a couple of sort of connections on this falling resistance. We've gone through the top here. You've got a bit of this sort of high heel top. You could see a little bit of a continued move up to the top side here. As to how far it's going to go, sort of certainly have to sort of wait and see. I mean, if this were to sort of play out to be the bottom, you can say realistically this move started from Friday night, which is this little top wick down here, which is after that US data, and you can sort of drag this out here, and we can sort of have a look at sort of where the sort of fib levels line up. And we can see a little bit of a confluence up around the 66.50, which, as we can see, this is where we had bottom wicks. We have bottom wicks here. This was our lower daily supports. We'd seen it sort of been sort of resistance previously. So I would say sort of like, if this can catch on up around 66.50 for a retest of the underside here, this has sort of come up. I think this is very much looking like where it might want to go. I mean, it depends obviously how fast they want to do it, but 61% is a very sort of strong sort of retracement level. We're going to sort of see, obviously, if we see this move on, we're going to have to sort of take out a couple of these early levels before you can even get up here, of course. But if we do manage to get up to over here, I imagine to see some strong selling coming down from this point here, because we got the underside of this daily support where, we saw it respected, and then obviously once it broke, it just gave way. You got the 61% retracement of this move that came down here, and then of course you've still also got this sort of falling resistance, which basically sort of it had been setting up since December highs into December up here. I mean, it has been a really sort of shocking sort of move since we hit that price target up the top over here. I mean, that's 5% drop in 3 weeks or so. So yeah, certainly after such a mammoth sort of move to the top side, it's really come back quite hard. We have sort of seen this. We flip onto the daily. Might have it a little bit cleaner on this slot here. On the daily here, we can see that this is a reasoning again, sort of why we might be finding some buying around here, because we've seen buys previously, buys previously, buys previously, and this is the area in which obviously exploded that last leg up to the top side through December, and here we are, we've just completely undone it. And what are we at? 18th. So in 1 month, we've gone up 5% and back down 5%. So buyers are going, okay, cool, give us another shot down here. We'll take another shot at that. Come down here, stopped out anybody that didn't book any profit through this period here. Had their technical stops just under the bottom here, and obviously it's pushed back up here a little bit. We're very heavily oversold on the daily here. So, there's a couple of things lining up to sort of say, yes, we should have a little bit of a bounce. Realistically, you'd want to be getting back up above. There's a lot of work to do. Like for Aussie, like it has been absolutely demolished here. But certainly, first things first, you want to take out that previous day's wick. So back above 66, which is about, what are we at, 56 now. So 45 points up to the top side here. Take out that daily wick, and then we could be seeing a little bit of a continuation move to the top side up over here. Gold next has been absolutely killed as well. This is another one sort of got caught, had to sort of take some pretty heavy hits on. So if we have a look over on this one here, so we had this sort of nice sort of rising sort of channel that seemed to be respecting quite well, even from this last connection over here, and sort of came up the top here. This is what I mentioned the other day, though, one to look out for. If we get down onto the lower time frames, it had that triangle setting up at the top and was just unable to break out of that triangle. As you can see here, it was coming through nicely, but this third little attempt here, and as it broke down through this area, look, I said 43 we're going to come back down to. Obviously, you can see the move that we've had sort of come down afterwards, and it's just been level after level after level, just absolutely decimated. So this is basically sort of run on that US dollar strength. So you know what I mean. It had a little bit of a sniff moving to the top side to the end of last week through this period here with that Yemen escalation. But that didn't obviously really eventuate, and as you can see, it's really sort of taken its toll on it. So got a little bit of a falling resistance here. Realistically, you want to get above that, and you want to get above this zone over here till gold can prove itself above where we are, 2030. So $20 move off from here. I'd say it's still very much in trouble, because as you can see, there's sort of very choppy through this area over here. Tried to hold on, but last night just got absolutely demolished. So a little bit as we look at this now, this selling of this last pit has come in with a little bit of a negative divergence down along through this period here. So this could be something sort of working in its favour to actually see a bit more of a sustained bounce. But again, till you really get above 2030, I think people are just going to be selling into these rallies. Above the sort of falling resistance to start, which will sort of come in, and also you've got a previous support here, so above sort of 2020. I think this would be your first test. If you can manage to get through here, 2030, and then on and on. But as I said, I imagine a lot of these things are going to be sold into quite heavily. Just flip back onto DXY quickly, because it is continuing to sort of sell down. It's testing this sort of rising support through here now, and they're certainly trying to bail out of this pretty quickly. If we do see a continued push and a break of this first sort of rising support, as I said, this is the level that I want to see underneath that wick high from NFP from a couple of weeks ago. Backtest is on the cards of this whole period, this whole range through here. So again, sort of coming down over here, we have a bit of a confluence then, because this is our sort of main sort of rising support. sort of right off the lows. So end of December when we sort of came down through that price target, sort of coming up to here. So I think this will be a very interesting area over here to see what happens, because for this we've got a confluence of a few things. We've got the sort of top end of this range that we were sort of like through here. So this is the range that we were sort of battling through. So this is the top end of that. We've got the rising support, which has got a couple of touches here. So off the bottom again, and actually, so I don't believe this wick here, by the way. So, really two touches here. I don't really sort of count this one. I mean, it is a little bit odd, or it lines up, I suppose, that it comes through there, but that was that sort of dodgy wick. But yeah, so if we break through those sort of wick highs from NFP, I would say sort of like a touch up of this rising support. If you fail and come back down into this range, then I think this is going to be considered a failed breakout, and we're going to sort of see. So this is your range through here. If it comes back down into the range, this is going to be considered a fake breakout. We're quite heavily overbought, and this, I imagine, will sort of really come through to the bottom side. So the way that these ranges can sort of work as well at times is do these sort of counter swings. So if we sort of look for the top side here, and we say, okay, look, it's come out here. This is all, thinking ahead. But if we do sort of see continued sell down here, we're overbought, very heavily overbought. We're coming right up along that 100. So if we do see continued sell down with DXY and it comes back through here, comes through its falling resistance, of course, there's a lot of levels for it to get through, and comes back into this range, you could expect a sort of counter swing out the bottom side of this range, which would be coming right back down into these strong supports. And this could be considered a fake breakout, because you got to think everybody and their dog and that was looking for US dollar shorts, myself included. And I got absolutely torn apart by sort of, I stuffed up on a few sort of positions there. I sort of went a bit heavy and I didn't cut early enough. But a lot of people were looking for dollar weakness. I mean, remember, this is what we sort of had coming into the end of last year. So, we are still technically in a bearish sort of mode. So while everybody's looking for it to come back down here to test this, to potentially come down to lower and lower, well, where's the pain trade? The pain trade is to just send it higher and higher and higher. You saw the reaction, Aussie dropping 5%. Well, 5% from, the year here, but still this like one period through here, just through three days, it's like 2.5% or so. So certainly a lot of people got smashed and taken out. Gold longs, same sort of deal. So this is all, as I said, still just sort of planning ahead. We're yet to put in a higher high through sort of this whole main move. But if we do sort of come back down into this range, this is going to be considered a fake breakout. And I'd expect it to really come down and sort of visit December lows. But again, there's a lot of levels to get through first. So that's just sort of, how we're sort of thinking. As I was saying, this is quite a heavy sort of sell down to sort of open the session. So we'll have to sort of see how this sort of continues through. On the 4 hour, it's still got a little bit room to sort of really cool back down and come back and test that top side of that range. Cool, just flip across copper quickly. Copper, as I said, just sort of came back down. Seems to be sort of respecting this sort of level over here. So we got a bit of a horizontal, obviously, that we got marked out here. We got a little bit of this bottom side of this channel. It's really just, you know what I mean. It's just choppy. It's like it wants to come down. You haven't seen sort of like these sort of like strong sort of trending moves. It certainly came down like this, but it feels like it's starting to sort of grind a little bit more. As you can see, this angle coming down here, we're starting to see a little bit more of a sideways angle here. If we take out these sort of 373 levels, we could sort of see, obviously test up with those major supports. But yeah, again, it all really depends on what they do with DXY sort of through the rest of the week. We saw this for the breakout on China. Its measured move, which was this little triangle breakout. It actually hit it and sold off, and then sort of tried to push through a second time as well. But again, in line with DXY selling off, we're seeing other US dollars crosses sort of selling off. So this is very much sort of coming excuse me, back down towards a test of this little major zone that it had here. Again, if you can see push back down into the zone, I'm still reluctant to sort of think that you'll see the counter swing there, but as I said, these can have the counter swings. So I thought this would have maybe been a little bit shorter, but if we have a look at how far this one came, was obviously just based off my little drawings that of where I've put the ranges. But I guess you could sort of say that it could have been a little bit higher, but there's your sort of counter swing here, counter swing here, counter swing here, counter swing here, and we could really just sort of come back into this range here. So we'll see how we go. We'll see a little bit of a divergence on that last push up as well, as we can see. Where are we at? So this little high to high, let's make this a... So I've got a little bit of a divergence as we made one high here, pushed on to the next high. We're seeing one high, which lines up here, and then the next high there. So this is obviously sort of not really sort of followed suit, and this is why you're seeing this correction and sort of sell down at bottom here. For this to really sort of look like it's going to test the top side, though, of course, you just need to take out these wicks from, when was it? Oh, just yesterday. So before that last little push up to the top side there. So we're seeing sort of DXY sort of coming into that support. I'll just flick across to that quickly. And as I said, you want to sort of see it continue sort of push to the downside here. But yes, it's early days, and you know, it's these things take a little while to turn around. It's not going to sort of turn on a dime. I mean, we very much could still see some more upside, but at the moment, the way that this is looking, it's looking like we're at least going to have a little bit of sort of USD cooling through Asia's session and a little bit of correction. All right, that's about it for me.